You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Hell's Kitchen After Show.
Every time. Sucks me right in. I know. Thursdays. It's all about fire. Hell's Kitchen. This is the after show. 10 chefs competing. Season 12. How are you? My name is Leo Quinones, and I am a Gordon fan. Get out! Piss off! And it was a great episode tonight. And this is the only Hell's Kitchen show that brings you exclusive content. What do I mean by that? Well, 2 special guests are on the show right now. You want answers? You got them. I'm going to get the right questions to you. Thank you for the downloads on iTunes. And we're going to go coast to coast today. We're going to start with the sunny coast of California, Riverside, about 90 minutes outside of Los Angeles. One of the 9 chefs left on Hell's Kitchen is the lovely cook, well-spoken. She's got a great heart. It's her second time co-hosting. This is the lovely Rochelle Bergman. Rochelle, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me again.
All right. You know what? You are representing sunny Southern California. But if we go back about 3,000 miles, New Jersey, there's a tough guy on the phone right now. Actually, a battling contestant right now. Is he there? The dainty, soft-spoken chef Anton Testino. Are you there, buddy?
Oh, I'm here.
I missed that voice.
What's going on, Rochelle?
Hello, Anton. How are you doing?
I've been very good. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad.
Very nice.
Yeah, this is great. I'm so glad that you're here. West Coast time, Anton, so it's late for you. We appreciate you staying up. I want to start by going back an episode. Anton, let's go into the last episode's dinner service. Gordon said something effective, never seen such a fall from grace. What happened during that service, my man?
You're talking about last week when I was on Fish Station?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, last week there was just, that episode, it was just a lot of confusion on my end, having Scott yelling numbers at me and having Chef Ram yelling numbers at me.
Right.
I mean, if you notice, you saw me put up scallops, and I miscounted them. Because there's something about me that I haven't revealed to the world. And at that moment, it took effect. It's something I've had to deal with my whole life.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll stay in store for that. Now I want to move forward to the unique deliberation on the last episode. Rochelle, question for you. You were pretty much blindsided. You had a decent service, and all of a sudden, Joy, as soon as you walked out of the room, she says, I think we should put up Rochelle because we don't know if she has the heart and is committed to being a chef. So you pick it up from there, you standing there during the ceremony.
Well, I mean, at this point in the game, there's obviously 10 people gone, 10 of us left, 5 on each team. So it does get a little bit more difficult putting up people for elimination. I mean, you have to kind of get out of the box when it comes to finding reasons. And let's just say they were pretty creative in that aspect on finding a reason why I should go home. Because, I mean, a lot of people have families. I mean, Chef Ramsay is a great example. When they had the kids, were cooking for the kids, his little family came up and introduced themselves. And so I know that you can work both sides of that, have a family, be a mom or a dad and work in the kitchen. But I know it's also very difficult and stressful. And I did communicate that, and you saw it last episode. And so for me, it was a little bit hard being put up for elimination for maybe reasons kind of going along those lines. But, I'm not surprised that the girls kind of put me up. I mean, I am definitely a competition for them. So, I mean, kind of target people.
Right. Okay, so let's get to the 4 nominees at the end of last episode. We had on the red team, Anton. We have to, wait a minute. We have Anton and Scott, and then we have Rochelle and Sandra. So, Anton, tell me about you getting nominated. That's tough on the block, is it not?
Yeah, it wasn't really that big of a deal for me to be nominated. They kind of didn't show it, but I was willing to go up.
You said, though, my teammates act like a bunch of little girls. You regret saying that?
No, not 100%. I heard last week's episode with Jason, and, Jason hit it right on the nose. Jason sits there, and he sat there, and he clearly stated to everybody, things get heated in the kitchen, but it's never personal.
Right.
And, me and Jason, we butt heads, we argue, you guys have seen it, and we don't make it personal. Once you're out of that kitchen, it's supposed to end. Every day is a new day.
Wait a minute.
Anybody who's ever worked in a commercial kitchen, they get how that works.
Right. So, Anton, are you talking about last week's after show with Jason Zapaltis that he was on?
Exactly.
You understood what he said? A word? You understood a word he said?
I had to listen to it a couple of times, but I kind of got the gist of it.
Okay, so I'm expecting, and the rest of the world is expecting, Gordon Ramsay to lop somebody's head off. Is it going to be Rochelle? Is it going to be Sandra? Is it going to be Anton? Is it going to be Scott? And then, I guess I have two separate angles here. One female, one male, which is so great. This is like prime Hell's Kitchen. Okay, so Gordon pulls this switcheroo. Anton, give me your jacket. What did you think in that split second?
If you saw my face, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. It didn't really faze me all that much. It was more of just, you gotta be joking. Really?
And okay, and then all of a sudden, I don't remember who the second jacket was. The second jacket, I believe, was Scott, and then now the four of you. So then you had to take off your jacket. What did you think, Rochelle?
Same thing. Bringing back to what Anton said, kind of going up there, I wasn't like surprised per se. So I kind of realized like, okay, well, there are other people out of the four of us that would go home. So I didn't even consider it like as an option that he'd be sending me home. So I did have like for a quiet moment there, like, what? Why does he want me to take my jacket off? Like, this isn't going to happen.
And I will say for Rochelle, I've seen Hell's Kitchen 12 seasons. When you stood up there and you pled your case, it was the most to the point, word economy, it was, here's why I want to be here, here's why I deserve to be here, and it was very well spoken, and I said that on last week's episode.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well, you two, Chef Anton Testino, hold that thought, and Rochelle, hold that thought. Right now, I got to tell you about a book that's coming out on Tuesday, and I'm telling you, just in time for summer, Maria Menounos, who is the first word in AfterBuzz TV. She has a new book called The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness. And this, producer Steven, this is why he's at 3% body fat, because he follows the rules religiously. And if you get this book, it's going to help you. And again, look at Maria. Boom. Great. Coming out Tuesday, wherever books are sold. So again, good job, Maria. Good job, producer Steven.
Hey guys, Maria Menounos here, and I want to share my newest book, The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness, with you. Basically, every woman always stops me and asks me how I lost 40 pounds, so I decided to put it all in one book. Everything I did to lose 40 pounds step by step, and how you can too, is in here. I did it with no time, no money, and no willpower, and now I'm going to show you how to do it too. You can pre-order it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, wherever books are sold, and it's out June 3rd. So I hope you guys love it. I hope it helps you in your weight loss journey, and please, please tweet me and update me on your progress at Maria Menounos. Thanks.
It is at Maria Menounos, and again, it's called The Every Girl's Guide to Diet and Fitness. It's out on bookshelves Tuesday, so make sure you get that. All right, now let's move in to this unique challenge. On the phone is Chef Anton Testino, and of course, the lovely Rochelle Bergman is in studio with me. So, ladies first, Rochelle, you have Gordon's French little market right there.
All right.
Take me in there and describe second by second what it was like to be there in the dark, picking ingredients for this unique challenge.
Well, I wasn't expecting it to be completely dark. I figured we'd have like a little bit of light cracking through, but no, it was seriously pitch black. So I think that part took me off. Definitely was laughing a little bit because you do stumble. But it was really intriguing actually being able to feel things, and you actually got a good, idea of what kind of ingredients you were getting. I mean, I could obviously tell an avocado by just the touch. So again, leafy things for my kale. But there were some things that I put my hand in and I definitely regretted it instantly because I was like, that was nasty. And then of course, I don't know what it is, so I will not pick you. So yeah, it was definitely kind of a little new experience, but definitely kind of fun.
Wait a minute, Anton, doesn't that mean if the first person goes in and feels everything and then all of a sudden 8 people go in and feel things, if you're like the 9th or 10th person, isn't your stuff pretty much felt over by human hands, I would say?
Yeah, a little bit. It's kind of like being a little betrayed in a weird kind of odd way, I guess.
What was your experience like in the dark room picking instruments, Anton? Ingredients, I'm sorry.
I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
What was it like picking ingredients in the dark for you?
It was actually not that hard. It was just a matter of finding them. I mean, just feeling them. I knew exactly what I was feeling, what I was touching. I mean, I took down a perfect combination. The only mistake I made was I didn't pick out a side dish. So other than that, I mean, just going through the dark, it was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge. It was about having a good time and seeing what you could do with it.
Yeah, so the challenge was, 60 seconds, 5 ingredients. Gabriel with 4. Let's just say that was this is a recurring thing in this episode. And then a kind of a king of the hill angle that Gordon Ramsay went for this time, putting you up on the pedestal, and one dish has to knock off the other dish. So Scott won, had a nice swordfish dish, and then all of a sudden, here comes Rochelle. What did you cook?
Well, I cooked a New York strip. So I got in New York, I had tomatoes, potatoes, kale, and avocado. So similar thing, like in the moment when you have like that 60 seconds in the dark room, you kind of feel your ingredients, but it's hard to also process through like what you want to cook while you're in there. Because, you can kind of, I don't want this, maybe I'll grab this instead. So that was kind of a little bit of a challenge getting out. But yeah, I was kind of happy.
And that was 30 minutes. What was your dish in 30 minutes, Anton?
I believe I made a pork and I topped it with figs and a feta cheese spread. Mm-hmm. And it was served in a port wine demi-glaze, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the way all the contestants at this point can bang out something like that in 30 minutes is pretty incredible. So they have every ingredient under the sun in that pantry that you guys have access to. Is that right?
For most of our little challenges, we actually do have access to quite a bit. I mean, this one, they really wanted us to stick with just our 5 ingredients and then kind of little things here and there. Obviously, if you want to make a sauce and cheeses, things like that to help enhance your dish. But your main dish has to be your particular ingredients. Or in Gabriel's, maybe not everything you cooked. Oh, that fella.
All right. So again, let's talk about the winners. It came down to you, Rochelle. So congratulations.
Why, thank you.
Again, what's it like getting a compliment on your food from Gordon Ramsay?
I think any compliment you get from Gordon Ramsay is really nice. He doesn't give them out too often. So I think just taking that and holding on to it. But yeah, I mean.
So that means you spearheaded the spa day at the Softiel Hotel in Beverly Hills. Absolutely. And was Sandra really getting felt up like that?
She was definitely making some sensual noises with her little massages. It was kind of creepy a little bit. We're in a small room. There's other people. It's like, hello, calm down.
Yeah, but Jason was the exact opposite of the sensuality.
He almost ruined the spa experience for me, and I feel bad for his future wife, lady.
He ruined it for me.
He was just like, this sucks. She's like, I hate they touch my feet. I hate things on my face. So the whole time you're being massaged and people are touching your feet, I'm like, shut up, Jason. Why did we bring you?
So what were you doing at that time, Anton?
At that time, I was just unloading things, listening to everybody complaining and whining, and just doing what I had to do. I had to do my job.
Is Melanie?
We had to unload that truck and drag everything from the front to the back of the restaurant.
Is Melanie really that dainty?
Melanie, I think, tries to play a little more daintily than she really is. Mm-hmm. But I mean, everybody was all concerned about me being thrown like on the girls' team and stuff. So it was kind of funny to see how I adapt working with women. Mm-hmm. Because most people don't realize I was raised by women. I had no man influence. So, if you notice in tonight's episode, I was more accommodating to the women and just kind of following their lead.
Wait a minute.
Just for the fact that it was their kitchen originally. It wasn't mine. It's like I was a guest in their kitchen.
Well, I got to kind of call you to task a little bit, because I think you said that women are are more emotional. I haven't worked with a girl in 10 years, and you did kind of have it seemed like a little bit of a downward slant towards working with women.
Yeah, from what you guys saw, at first I was a little concerned about it.
So the confessional was not accurate.
Oh, no. I mean, it was accurate to an extent, definitely.
Uh-huh.
But, you know, from when I got in there and I started working with them, I felt like, you know, right back in my place.
All right. Question.
I felt like, you know what? I can work with these girls. They're definitely, you know, doable. It's easy to communicate with them. It's definitely a much more relaxed atmosphere.
All right. Let me ask a question for both of you. Rochelle, as soon as you were turned over to the Blue Squad, what was internally your strategy? How did it have did it have a paradigm shift? What did you do?
Well, for me, I was kind of on Anton's point about the drama or dramatic of women being more emotional. I was kind of excited to work on the blue team. I grew up with 3 brothers. I've been on the opposite around a lot of men, so I was kind of excited to kind of have a different little insight. And I felt like I was a pretty strong competitor on the red team, so I felt, you know, I could come into the blue team and do good. Which, I mean, I helped win the first challenge, so that's kind of nice, little redemption kind of. Ticket to the girls for kicking me off their team, in essence.
Yeah.
So that was kind of exciting. But, I mean, there was some fears, too, because being on the red kitchen, we could hear the blue team, even though we can't see them. So I could hear Jason be very loud and aggressive. And sorry, Anton, we could hear you last episode, too.
I'm not going to deny that.
So I was kind of glad you were going as I was coming. I was like, oh, I'm a little bit intimidated working with Anton.
Believe me, you will never forget his voice, Rochelle.
I know. I know, buddy.
Rochelle, who were you happy to get away from in the red team when you went to the blue team?
I don't know. It was hard because Sandra was a little bit more vocal in scary ways to me, so I was kind of worried about bringing her with me. But, you know, it was hard because I actually really enjoyed working with Joy and Keisha and Melanie, definitely. I mean, we had kind of a thing going, and when you change things up, it definitely can create a different type of atmosphere. And I think that was what I was more worried coming to the blue kitchen, just like Anton said, like you're kind of coming into someone else's kitchen, they have a new flow, they have a way they work, and you're kind of bringing something different. So I think that was more of a fear than leaving.
And the thing is I thought you were put up for a different reason than not being a great chef, which I think was kind of underhanded. You know, it's like, let's get her out any way we can because she's good. So again, maybe you should never have been on the block in the first place, and you should maybe never even be on the blue team. So it really has a big shift. So Anton, you get placed on the red team. You're wearing your reds, and you know, miraculously, a red bandana shows up for you, which is fantastic. What was your strategy going on to the Reds, the women's team?
Well, first, slapping that red bandana on my head it was definitely a comfort zone. I've been wearing a red bandana in the kitchen forever. I mean, I wore it when I was on Chops. I'm wearing it now in Hell's Kitchen. So it kind of gave me a little bit more comfort.
Sure.
Like I felt like I belonged.
And what was your strategy?
My strategy, really, I mean, it's simple. You know, when the girls started sitting there saying, oh, you can't come in here and take over this, blah, 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 I was just kind of like, look, it's your kitchen. I'll follow your lead. But I will jump right in and help and do what I have to do to make service go through. You know, like, even in tonight's episode, I was noticing a lot. They didn't really emphasize, like the narrator never really emphasized or anything. Because, you know, there's a lot of people out there that hate me now, and then there's a lot that love me. But at the same time, it was just kind of humorous to me that nobody realized or spoke about the fact that I was jumping from station to station all night helping everybody. Like, I ran over there and got in there and helped Keisha get her stuff out.
Right.
Because she was, like, getting in the hole. You know, so it really kind of showed how I am in the kitchen. I'm not concerned about the victory. I'm not concerned about the win. I'm more concerned about my true love and passion of cooking and making sure that the customers really enjoy what they get, and we try to have a good service.
Right on.
So I'll follow whoever I have to follow.
Okay. Well, listen, a question for both of you, starting with Rochelle. You've been on Hell's Kitchen now, a national show, global really, for, 12 or so episodes. What's it like, this newfound fame? Question for each of you. Rochelle, you go first.
Well, I wouldn't really say fame per se, but I mean, we do have like 5+ million viewers, so I think that's a little bit intimidating. I think it's crazy just going regular places and people recognizing you. I didn't really
Like what?
expect that. Target. I mean, I was at Target last night and there was a gentleman like waiting at my car and I was kind of scared. I was like, why is this guy like at my car? And then I kind of walked up and I was like, hi, sir. Like, can I please put my groceries in? And he was like, hey, is your name Rochelle? And so then I'm like, okay, not even thinking of the show, but I'm like, how do you know me? And then he was like, my wife watches you on Hell's Kitchen all the time. I knew it was you. She's gonna be so mad she didn't come to Target. And I was like, oh, okay, well now I'm not worried.
Selfie time? Selfie
yeah,
time?
I know, and that's the other thing, which Anton probably gets away more because he was on Chopped and stuff. But I'm in like a lot of people's pictures, and I'm just like, please don't tag me on Facebook though, because on the show, well, not really on the show because you never wear makeup, but they catch you like after maybe a soccer game, after anything. And I'm like,
easy, Kim Kardashian, Jesus Christ.
I know. I'm turning into one of those. Dang it. I never thought I would be there.
Chef Anton, how are you handling the fame of this, the being on TV?
I absolutely love the fame. I'm not going to lie. Trying to sugarcoat it in any form.
I'm not surprised there, buddy.
Last week I was actually, I went to the Yankee game over in New York, and it was kind of fun because my mother was with me. And it was the first time she's ever seen anybody come up to me and ask to take pictures with me and ask, for my autograph and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it was kind of funny just to see my mom's facial expression because she thought, like, who is these people coming up to my son? Like, why are they bothering him?
Just getting all protective mom mode.
So it was definitely, I loved it.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's definitely a great feeling to have it. And it's something, once you get a taste of it, you don't want to let that go, really.
What's it like for both of you, starting with you, Anton, when someone's pulling for you and you have no idea who they are?
When they first come up to me and they say something to me and they just give me a compliment, the first thing is like, you know what? I got to thank you. And the reason I say that is because, honestly, if it wasn't for me being in the restaurant business for so long and letting people let me be creative and let myself actually just be me, I would have never had the courage or the creativity that I come up with to get to the point in my career where I'm at. I would never accomplish anything. So I don't really owe or deserve all the credit. It's my customers and people who are fans to help give me the confidence and the courage to keep going for more and more.
Atta baby, I love it. All right, how about you? When someone's pulling for you, Rochelle, you don't even know who they are from Adam, and they're saying nice things. What's that like?
People have different love languages, and I think one of mine might be words of affirmation. So I think for me, it's kind of cool getting people to say positive things and just seeing my character on TV or, talent, or maybe hearing Chef Ramsay compliment me and then kind of going along with that and say nice things. I mean, either on Facebook or Twitter to people I run into in real life. I think that's kind of encouraging. On the flip side, it's not so fun when people don't like you and you say and you hear mean things. And a lot of it, it's hard because they don't know how the show is. They don't know the pressure and the stress is under. They just kind of say hurtful things, and it's kind of like, you don't know me. You don't know what I'm going through at the moment. You don't know, how this moment is for me. So really, you shouldn't comment negative stuff, but it definitely gave me more perspective when I'm being a little bit more critical of other shows or different things to watch myself. But it's kind of nice too, like you said, a little bit with the fame aspect. We went to Temecula olive oil, and they were like, we're your fans, and they gave me like free olives and all this stuff, and I was like, oh, I guess I could get used to this. Hi, Anton. That, so if you want to give me free things, I'm like, well, thank you so much.
I do have a question I need to ask Rochelle.
Let's have it.
It's a very important question I have to ask her. Do you remember the one thing I taught you about the risotto and how to make it quick and perfect?
Yeah, they didn't show it on this episode, but Anton was actually quicker on the risotto, and I literally went up to him and I was like, are you kidding me? How are you doing this, superstar?
Break it down for us. Go on. So, okay, so...
That's all I cared about. That's all I wanted to know. Thank you. I'm glad you remembered.
He was really quick. I literally was like, how'd you do this? How'd you do it? Because I got complimented quite often by Chef Ramsay on my risotto, telling me, and probably Anton too, are one of the best with the risotto for this season. So when we were prepared head-to-head on this challenge, or dinner service per se, that Anton was edging me out on the speed, I was a little bit intimidated / also upset. I'm not gonna lie.
Anton, does this have anything to do with the hotter part of the pan being on the outside?
If you catch it on fire.
Right. I think, yeah, you see, you remembered it also. The outside of the pan is the hottest part.
He taught me that like 3 episodes ago when he was on this show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
Once this voice gets into your head, you don't forget it.
It's so true. It never leaves.
And I love the fact that she even remembers that. That means a lot to me.
I do. I really did.
And if you have any questions for Anton, please, you're in the co-pilot seat. You ask away as well.
I have plenty.
It's not really a dinner service, but it's stressful nonetheless. UNICEF visiting Hell's Kitchen for philanthropists, and so let's get into it. Tonight's dinner service on Hell's Kitchen. Okay, a 5-course meal, 12 and 12, split evenly. That's right.
A little late, sorry.
We'll live. Okay, I got to see the fire outside, and Jean-Philippe opened Hell's Kitchen. Okay, so a very this seems to me like a heck of a task to get 12 meals perfect on each. So let's start from the beginning. Rochelle, what was it you that started this baby?
Yes, it was me and Anton challenging it up for the risottos.
12.
Yes, it was. We were against each other all night tonight.
I know, it's crazy. But you know,
I was a little upset about you taking the chair.
I know. He really was. He actually came over and Chef Ramsay was like, Anton, why don't you come up and taste Rochelle's food? And Anton tasted it, and his little raspy voice was like, it's a little salty. And I was like, rude.
I was a little upset because you got me because I didn't have that garnish.
I know, I sure did. But I was like,
I know, you got the garnish. You got the, you earned it though.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Well, honestly, I thought the fire department was going to come out at the beginning of service, Anton. What the hell happened there?
Well, I knew I had to make all these risottos, and, you know, quite frankly, I think I've made it very clear I'm not really a fan of Scott. So when he comes near me, it's kind of like, all right, just get the hell away from me, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying?
I'll do what I got to do to get you out of here.
I will do all the risottos myself. Just stay away from me, guy.
Oh man.
So when there's
he's just one of those people.
When there's 5 of you, how are you making the risottos? So there's 2 of you on point, and everyone stays away, or is everyone?
Well, I think Anton did all the risottos by himself, which you can do. I mean, during dinner service, you know, you can do 3 risottos in a pan, so you can have 4 going. I tried to get a little help from Gabriel. You know, because I figured, hey, why not? But I was still being a little bit bossy over it because you can cook them yourself. That's not too difficult, but.
Well, they were fast and they were beautiful, those risottos, and Rochelle's came out great. So let's get into maybe you 2 guys, young lady and guy, have an opinion.
Why can't I be a nice guy? Why do you gotta call her like this great, lovely Rochelle, and I'm like the Anton from out on the other side?
Because maybe that voice is intimidating me just a bit. Okay, so I'm
It may be intimidating, but you know,
you're still a gentleman. Don't worry.
All right. So again, when you guys are doing this, you each have a unique perspective on Gabriel and his counting. Okay, so he really didn't have it together as far as counting. So do you have anything to add on that, Rochelle?
Well, yeah, because Gabriel was on the blue team, so I was right there next to him, and I think that was kind of like the funny part because you're in charge of your station, so you kind of know what you're supposed to do, how many. I mean, I obviously knew how many risottos I had out, so I think walking up and realizing, like, hey, there's just kind of 2 tuna just floating around. Maybe we need those, maybe we don't. So I'm kind of...
You need 12?
Yeah, we need 12. So that's why I'm kind of going around asking everyone, like, hey, how many do you have over there, Sandra?
You saved everyone's ass.
Well, to me, I mean, that's not that uncommon, and I think Anton probably did it in the Red Kitchen, too. I mean, being this type of personality where you want to try to help be a leader and you want to showcase that to Chef Ramsay. I mean, you want to not undermine someone else who's their station, but you want to make sure you're helping them and, you know, make sure they're doing their job as well. So I think that was kind of what I was doing with Gabriel. I felt bad because that sucks, because if we didn't have him done, we would have, again, maybe sent out less food, given people half a tuna. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. Well, Anton,
we were embarrassing tonight.
Anton, what about the acacia and the tortellini dish? That had to be something. That seemed really, really, really unorganized.
I mean, it definitely did seem a little unorganized. I mean, Keisha and Melanie just were not clicking together. They weren't working well together. And, you know, I mean, I think Keisha is really misunderstood by a lot of people, to be honest with you. I mean, when I first met her, I wasn't a fan of her, to be honest with you. But when you actually get to know her and talk to her a little bit, you could see how much passion and pride she has. So I kind of have a good soft spot for her in a sense because of that. And I saw her and Melanie they just weren't clicking, and they weren't communicating properly. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, once she kept asking Melanie, just check and make sure they were right, and it just wasn't coming out right. That's when I kind of just dove in, and I just said to Keisha, I'm like, Keisha, just relax, don't worry about it. We're going to get through it. Just don't worry. And, you know, I just stood there with her and kept going through, and I just started checking with her and got her back on track. I mean, it's really easy to lose focus in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when you got somebody up there screaming at you, yelling at you, and the pressure's on, and you're thinking everything that's on the line, that kind of throws you off your game.
Wow.
You know, everybody's got their great moments there, and everybody's got their highs and their lows. Everybody's got their perks. Mm-hmm. You know, like Rochelle over there, I mean, she's very soft-spoken, sweet, and she'll listen, and she's got, you know, a great personality.
Hey, you already have a show.
Thank you.
Quickly.
You already have a showmance going on. We'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So how about on your team, the blue team, the Chef Gabriel, the plates and the tortellini and the numbers? Break it down for me, Rochelle.
Oh man, it was.
It's not that tough, right?
It really isn't.
You get 5 per portion.
It's 5 per portion. You have a sauce, and you're pulling it out as it's hot, and you put it in your pan. You know, glaze everything, and so. I don't know. I don't know how we miscounted. I mean, towards the end, we realized that Richard had left some in the water, so we couldn't even use those because they had overcooked so much. I think it even started falling apart, like disintegrate in the water. But it's one of those things where, again, it's a station. He should have pulled them all out, made sure everything's there, because, you know, we made enough for every portion, maybe a few extra, obviously, for tasting and stuff, but not enough to where we can throw out the extra 13th plate, maybe. I don't know.
I was like, oh.
How do we keep doing this? It was so embarrassing. So, again, having to...
Actually, I'm going to have to make a comment for you, Rochelle, because I think I know why Gabriel had a little bit of a situation there going on.
All right, go for it. Give me insight.
All right. I think that what it comes down to, like, in every kitchen, this is always the same deal. I think he was a little intimidated. You came off a huge win, which you clearly earned. You know, it was well-deserved.
Oh.
So I think the fact that it was your first time working together, it's kind of like taking two people who've never met and putting them in a room together and telling them, make something good happen here. So it's kind of like he was a little nervous, I think, at first, because the communication flow isn't the same. You have to build up that chemistry and become a family in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And you have to know, you don't always have to communicate or speak. There's a lot of times where that person next to you side by side, when they're watching you cook, they know what you're going to ask for before you even ask.
But wait a minute.
They just do it.
But wait a minute.
I worked with Gabriel a lot.
Right.
And me and Gabriel, we banged out stations left and right when we worked together.
But wait a minute.
We had that sync.
Hold on.
So I think he was just a little
Good
rocky
luck,
on the
Anton.
sync with the first time I went with her.
I can't contain myself. 2 big mistakes happened there, Anton. One, Richard left the pasta in the bowl without counting it. Okay. Second, in the pot, whatever. And then Gabriel put up 13 dishes. That alone can cause, you know, a mass. That things are just blowing up from there. I mean, how do you recover from, those are elemental mistakes.
Well, I think it was hard too because, like you had seen later on, when you're putting stuff up, you're having miscounting. You're like, well, the food's getting cold also,
Yeah,
and
sure.
so there's like that
It's
aspect because you
small.
have like this fear because you're like now working this little time pressure where you're like, we need to make sure this gets out hot. Yeah, they're tiny, so I think that put it in. I mean, I think Anton has like a point there. I mean, we definitely kind of went with new teams and just like from day one when you're like, I've never worked with these people. I don't know how they communicate. I don't know, how they take criticism. I don't know how they cook in the kitchen. So there is that aspect of it. Plus, the downside is you already have like perceptions of people because you hear what the other team says about them as they get put up for elimination. So you kind of go in with these expectations, maybe unrealistic, maybe realistic. So it does kind of put a little bit of pressure on them. So I gave them a little bit of grace, but I mean, at the end of the day, they know how to cook and they should know how to count. So
well, let's get into the main dish here, the lamb. Let's go from good to bad. Okay, Scott on the red team. And how did that flow, Anton? The lamb dish.
With Scott over there, I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, Scott was sitting there just coming to us, all right, if you guys do all this, so we all bang out our station with no problem and do exactly what he needs us to do for him.
well, I have a a question for you, because I wasn't sure, and I remember overhearing it afterwards because I'm not in your kitchen. Did he make you guys cook it, and he just sauced it? Because that's what it looked like too on TV, but I couldn't remember because I could see him delegating that. Okay, I'm pretty sure that was what everyone was upset about afterwards, because I was like, he can delegate, he can talk, but can he cook? No, but he wasn't.
Exactly my point. Exactly, Rochelle. You hit it right on the nose.
Show us that blue bandana.
He got us to do his job.
Oh, so okay.
He sat there and said, all right, the lamb, if you noticed, I was doing the polenta.
Yeah.
I forgot somebody, I think it was
Keisha was on the greens.
Or Keisha was doing the lamb.
That was a huge pot of polenta there, buddy.
Well, I got to do enough, and I only want to use one pot, man. I had to bang out 12 orders.
Right. And then he was, and I guess this is a kitchen thing.
And then the one thing he had to do, he failed.
With the ladle.
The ladle.
He used a ladle, which is
dripping everywhere. No big deal.
a big no. And Gordon's like, I'm trying to effing help you.
You want to know what the best part was, though, about him?
What?
I was laughing. I was laughing when I remember, because I saw last week's episode when Jason kind of threw him out of the appetizer station. That was just kind of funny. He's like, no, just get out of here. That was kind of humorous.
Did you and Jason almost come to blows in the dorms one time?
Me and Jason? Nah, to be honest, I love Jason. Yeah. I think Jason, they didn't show me and Jason hanging out and bonding enough, I think.
Oh.
Because they haven't shown enough of it.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love Jason. Jason's my kind of people in the kitchen. Hardcore, good, talented. He'll let things out. I'm a firm believer to let it out. You're mad at me? Go off on me.
Yeah.
I'll take it. Tomorrow's another day. But let me do the same back to you. Jason's the kind of guy I would definitely go out and have a beer with.
Wow, he is the evil pork master.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about Bad Lamb. And from the land of Bad Lamb was the blue team. So Sandra, this was probably her undoing. Take us through that painful 45 minutes.
Well, she probably would have been safe if she took the Scott approach and just delegated it out a little bit better.
Yeah,
maybe.
It's working for Scott.
Hey, yeah, right? Let's there's someone else to cook it. But yeah, just from the get-go, I mean, how she was prepping it, you could just tell, like, oh, we're going to have a little bit of an issue here. To, like, common sense things, like not having the right temp where you're letting it rest and... Oh, where do you even start?
Jason was slicing and going, what are you doing?
I think Chef Ramsay actually commented on it, but they didn't show it, like how uneven some of the pieces were. So, yeah, it was just a nightmare overall. Oh, man.
I mean, that's when you can, that's what, I think
I don't know what else to say. It's just embarrassing.
That when your ass is on the line, isn't that when you would ask for help?
Yeah, and I think that, again, part of this challenge was for Chef Ramsay to see, like, can you lead? Can you delegate? Can you also, obviously, cook? Do you know how to do your job? And I think that was just an area where maybe it was because she was coming on the blue team and those gentlemen hated her. I mean, I want to make a ribbon sound, and I feel like... Anton might get it. I don't know, but they were not fans of her at all. And so I think she
not at all.
See, I know. So I think she felt that, like, so when you're in a situation where everyone just hates you, you know, you're gonna struggle. And I think that's the thing is she doesn't want to ask for help when someone that might not be willing to even give her the help. So as much as Jason might have been like, I'm gonna criticize you, maybe he's like, I don't want to help you. I want to see you fall. So I mean, I don't think he would be like that, but I'm sure that's probably how her perspective was. And I wish she would have just like owned it and like, okay, guys, I'm struggling. Can you guys please help me a little bit more?
She owned it at the end, but what was it like plating a partial plate of lamb? That had to be a blow to your ego.
It was so embarrassing. I mean, UNICEF too. I mean, I've worked with them even starting in high school, and so it was something that like I was like, oh, I'm going to take a little bit, not more pride than I would for normal customers or anything, but you know, like, wow, let's honor what they're doing for the world. And so I think, and then, you know, the host is on our side too. And I'm like, she's only going to get half of a portion of lamb. Like, how embarrassing. Like, and they're sitting right next to the red kitchen. They can see what they're being served. And so I think just having to take away, and then even the ones that we put on the plates, they were still a little bit compromised. Some of them were a little bit overcooked still. So it's like, not only do you get half of a portion, but you're not even getting
How did Gordon let that go?
Half a portion.
How did Gordon let that go?
It was one of those things where it's either that or we don't feed them. They don't get anything. So I think he kind of was like forced that hand.
Yeah.
So that was so embarrassing.
Speaking of delicious dishes, Chef Anton, did you get a gander at Angie Harmon, and did she give you any looks in the kitchen there?
Any winks?
Well, when I saw her from across the room, I mean, a lot of things were going through my head, and one thing was like, damn, Jason Horn is one lucky man. I'm a Giant fan, so I've seen her in the stadium a couple of times from a distance, but to see her up close, a whole different ball game.
Right on. Well, and then I guess Jason kind of led the blue team through the desserts. It wasn't kind of, and there's nothing really great happened in desserts. But here we go. Gordon says, no winners. Second week in a row where red team doesn't excel, blue team doesn't excel. They're both kind of there. Question to both of you: is that dejecting, or is it like we live to see another day? Rochelle, you go first.
Well, I mean, when the other team is the loser, it does kind of make you feel a little bit better about yourself. So you're kind of like, all right, good. We don't have to worry about anyone going home. But yeah, when both teams lose, I mean, it's not just like, oh, crap, we can lose someone on our team, but it's just embarrassing because now we're so far into the season that we shouldn't have both teams losing. We should be able to cook properly. We should be able to kind of make Gordon proud, you know, over where we're at. And so I think there's that, like, kind of hit to your ego, like, wow, that just happened.
Anton?
It's definitely a downfall. It kind of makes you a little upset, and it definitely breaks you down and breaks your ego a little bit. But at the same time, it's you just gotta tell yourself, look, there's no winner here, there's no loser here, and you're just praying that Ramsey sees you for who you are.
Right.
And you're ultimately, the way I started looking at the game at this point, and I thought it was my best way of going about the competition.
Right.
I was just kind of like, you know what? I don't think it matters if I win or lose at this point. I think all that matters is I need to show the world who I am. So whatever happens, if I win, great. Mm-hmm. If I lose, then at least the world got to see another piece of me and the stuff that I can put on a dish.
Love it.
Because ultimately, I'm a chef, dude. It's all about the food for me.
All right. Well, let's talk.
What I'm saying? So
yes.
Breaks your ego down a little bit, but you want to make somebody happy, but you can't make everybody happy all the time.
That's true. Hey, listen, in the deliberation, the fireworks between little Melanie and Keisha, take us to that moment. You were right there, Anton. You had a front row seat to this shouting match.
Yeah, I mean, Keisha's getting up and she's letting it all out, and she's ripping on Melanie, and Melanie's trying to defend herself. But watching the episode tonight, she kind of really didn't defend herself very well, like in her response for it, because she did say in tonight's episode that she was, I checked them. I thought they were done. So it kind of clicks in your head, well, it is a competition. You can't really trust everybody all the time. Mm-hmm. And their personalities are so different. I mean, Melanie is this, very soft-spoken, kind of bubbly-ish kind of personality.
Sexy.
Free spirit.
Getting there later.
Keisha's more hardcore. But they're two totally opposite people, so they're not the kind of people I would want working together in the kitchen. I mean, Melanie's young, very talented. She's got some great places on the resume. Keisha, she's probably got one of the biggest hearts and passions for it. Right. With a lack of the educational part. So they both have some great, amazing qualities about them. So it's kind of like it's like a yin-yang, you know what I mean?
Sure.
They're never going to mesh.
Right.
So you're just kind of adding fuel to the fire by putting them side by side.
All right.
But at the end of the day, it's entertaining.
Well, let's go to the blue team deliberations. What were they like? It was pretty much Sandra actually said, okay, I own it. I screwed up. Take us to that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there's no denying it. I mean, there's been other times in the kitchen where she's been put up for elimination after elimination after elimination. You hear her, like, her frustration, like, I shouldn't be here, and, like, just that anger that she has, like, when we're debating about it. I think I was the victim of one of those before from her. But I think this time she finally realized, you know what, I actually had a bad night, and I know I'm going to go up no matter how much I fight it, and I do want to own it. And so I think that was admirable in that aspect. But the other people were a little bit hard. I think it came down to me, and I felt really bad because I didn't know. I was really torn between both Richard and Gabriel. Both of them struggled tonight. I mean, it's not like where I've been with this team for a long time, so can I look at the overall picture like we do with, when I was on the red team, like, okay, you struggled back here, you struggled here. I don't really know their strengths and weaknesses yet. However, like I saw Gabriel struggle today with counting in several aspects, and I felt like that kind of held us back a little bit.
Sure,
again, me having to come over with the tuna was like a big deal, because had I not caught that, we would have been in the exact same situation as the tortellini anyways. So, it was definitely a little bit of a hard one there.
Well, the chefs are coming down from the dorms. They're walking to Chef Ramsay. They're going past the heated pasta bowl, and it's time for the meat hook elimination ceremony. This is where someone's going home, Marie Antoinette style. All right, nominated on the red team, Keisha and Scott were coming up, and for the blue team, Sandra and Gabrielle. So again, a very, very tough thing. Keisha said she's still driving it. I'm growing, and I want to stay here. Scott said he's keeping work. He's going to keep working, and he pushes forward. Sandra says she thrives on challenges. Gordon says you lost your passion, and then Gabriel said I'm never going to stop. Forget that, I'll never stop. And Gordon says you've given up. So who did you think was going to go, Rochelle?
Well, from my team, obviously, like I had a definitely insight, and I really felt like Sandra. I didn't really know exactly what happened on their team, so I obviously can hear Keisha getting a little bit crazy over there. So I knew, like, okay, maybe she had a bad night again. So that was always a possibility. Even Scott, I don't really know what he did, but he's been up for elimination quite a few times.
Sure.
Gabriel, I thought, his few mistakes, but I felt like Sandra hands down over Gabriel. So you never know with Chef Ramsay. You really never know.
And you're safe. That's the most important
I'm up there.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So Anton is also safe. Sandra, Gabriel, Scott, Keisha, Scott, Sandra, Gabriel. Who did you think was going to go, Anton?
Honestly, it could have really went any way. I really thought it was going to end up being between Gabriel and Keisha. But, ultimately, it doesn't matter who gets put up there. It's Ramsay's decision, and he knows what he's looking for.
And you were surprised then. You
think about every season in the past and everything everybody in the world's ever seen. Everybody knows what Chef Ramsay wants.
Right.
He wants the chef who's talented, that's not too talented, that can be molded still, but not to the point where they'll be too difficult to mold.
Right.
He wants somebody who's a little younger, but yet not too young. So he knows what he wants already. So even though I thought it could have been one of those two, at the end of the day, my opinion, Rochelle's opinion, everybody's opinion doesn't matter.
Right, but you have insight. So you thought it was going to be Scott, or you thought it was going to be Keisha. So you were, at the end of the day, surprised that it was Sandra.
I wasn't surprised it was Sandra, just from everything that I've been hearing from everybody. And the one thing that kind of made me think and agree with Ramsay on the call he made for that particular challenge is the fact that I always saw Sandra, every time I've seen her go up there, she was always feisty with a lot of fire behind her, and she just constantly had that, I'm going to stand my ground no matter what.
Right.
And I'll say whatever I have to say or do whatever I have to do.
Yeah.
And for some reason, this time tonight, I don't think she really minded so much that she upset Ramsay. I think she was more upset that she upset herself. Yeah, and that's why she had no fight.
She lost some of the fight, right, Rochelle?
She's disappointed in one person that matters to her.
Yeah,
And I agree. You could see it just like the way she was like trying to defend herself. It was just like, Chef, like I shouldn't go home. Like there wasn't that kind of passion. I think like she had said in the kitchen, like, dang it, I'm so mad at myself for letting this go.
Put an apple in her mouth. She's on the rotisserie.
Wow, poor girl.
Sandra is now a part of Hell's Kitchen history. Okay, that's in the past. I need you two insiders to help me. Well, I guess you guys pretty much know, because let's talk about predictions right now and see what's going on in the next couple editions of Hell's Kitchen. All right.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Question for both of you. Who's going to win the $250,000?
Dun, dun, dun.
Rochelle?
Me, duh. No.
Anton?
Who's going to win the $250,000? Obviously, I should say me.
Well, let's see. It's down to Scott Cummings, Richard Mancini, Anton Testino, Rochelle Bergman, Michael Gabriel, Keisha Zollicoffer, Melanie Finch, Joy Parham Thomas, and Jason Zapeltis, the evil pork master. So I have two of the strongest contestants on this Hell's Kitchen after show right now. Rochelle, clean, classy, consistent. Anton Testino, brash, heritage cook. Cried when Wolfgang Puck enjoyed his food, and it really means a lot. So I know I've got two real contenders right here, and that's about as politically correct as I can be at one time.
Oh, thank you.
No, you guys are very, very strong. But I don't know if you saw the very end for next week's episode of Hell's Kitchen. I sure did. Really quickly, let's start with Rochelle. The evil pork master got under your skin.
Oh my gosh.
And broke you down. Give us an insight to what we're going to see next week.
I've been telling everybody I went through this whole season without crying. And
What?
apparently I've been a liar. Oh my goodness.
Did you black out?
I totally must have blacked this out. I know. I'm like, how do I forget this kind of stuff?
You were in your core broken down.
You know
what happened?
I think I must have just had like a momentary little snap, because I mean, it's one of those things where there is so much pressure and we're getting closer and closer to the end, and Jason's a nice guy, but he's also kind of a jerk. Yeah. And I don't think he might have said anything at that point in time, but maybe I took something from prior. Maybe it was just a bunch of different things. I know, me either, because I'm like, what made me cry? Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed.
I'm so mad I blacked out.
But then, you know what? The worst part is, like, earlier, like, in the beginning of this episode, I was like, oh, Anton, what a stinker, when he's like, oh, women are just so emotional. And I was like, no, they're not. And then they show the end of the episode, and here I am crying for no reason. I was like, oh, I'm a hot mess. I totally proved him right. Dang it.
Hey, listen, Anton, quit laughing, because I saw stars surrounding Melanie Finch from Woodland Hills. There was some flirtatious going on, and it looks like Fox is putting you two into a showmance. You can fend off the PR right now. You can fess up right now. You can give us the edge on next week's Hell's Kitchen. Anton Testino, what's going on with you and Mel in Hell's Kitchen?
I can't even really answer that. I will say, though, it's kind of humorous. Even before tonight's episode, I had a bunch of people tweeting and saw some stuff on the Hell's Kitchen Facebook page saying that me and her should be together. We'd make a beautiful kid.
Oh, you might.
Wow.
So it was kind of funny. I mean, when I saw them doing that, I was like, what?
Practice makes perfect.
I know. I was thinking, I was like, did you guys have a secret spa sesh or something? Because sometimes, Hell's Kitchen past things happen. I was like, I was probably sleeping or crying upstairs.
That's what I told you guys. If you notice, once I went into that women's kitchen, my personality has completely changed.
Wow, you know
I know,
what?
he's all suave, and he was talking about going in that black room all sensual. He was like, it's like a woman. Yeah,
hey,
we understand now.
Cooking are the same thing.
Oh, man.
Hey, Mel.
You gotta cook with love. You know that.
Oh, jeez.
We will have to wait and see what happens there. Melanie is going to be back on the show. So listen, on Twitter at Chef Anton T. And how do we find you, Rochelle?
Oh, Twitter as well. Rochelle Bergman.
Hold on with the music.
AntonTestino.com, and all my links to social media right there.
There we go.
All right, and you can catch me at Movie Interview and my interview with Jon Favreau from Chef.
Very exciting.
Go see Chef at movieinterview.com. Thank you, Roar, for the duds. Chef Anton Testino, thank you. Rochelle Bergman, thank you so much.
Awesome.
We'll see you next time right here in the Hell's Kitchen After Show.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Rated.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.